Yo, what's good, everybody? Today is Tuesday, August the 19th, 2025. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we just thank you, God, for another chance for us to come together. Thank you, God, for the gift of life, oh God. We thank you, God, for one another, as well as our family and friends, oh God. We ask you, God, that you would just protect each and every one of us. God, I ask you, God, that you would bless the viewers as well as their families as well. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Yo, what's good, everybody? Y'all come on in. Let me know what platform you guys are streaming from. Don't have no really topics I wanted to discuss tonight. We're just going to do a chop up, check in, mental check in, so to speak. Make sure everybody's good. Probably won't be on too long. We'll see how things go, where the conversation leads us. We'll go from there. Um, Happy Born Day to everybody that celebrated over this previous week. I'm saying it was quite a few people. And again, congratulations to all the students, um, no matter what level you are, that are going back to school this time of year. Shout out to the teachers, and let's keep them in prayer as well. Our teachers, our custodial workers, our security guards, the cafeteria, teachers' assistants, uh, just all the faculty and administrators in our school systems. Let's keep them in our prayers as we face another year. School is different, totally different than when we came up, and we hear that from every generation to generation. Whether we're talking about school, whether we're talking about violence, whether we're talking about whatever, it's always seem like. But I hear some of the stories from these elementary kids these days, and teachers and whatnot, and challenges that they're facing. I'm like, I thought we had it bad and rough, but it's totally crazy. The things that they're living with and the adversity that they're facing at such an early age. So just like keep them mindful and prayerful as they coming in. As you guys come in, let me know which platform you guys are streaming in. Get in the comments. Let me know if you're watching on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, whether it be YouTube or Facebook, let me know. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. As you guys see, my videos disappear on Facebook. Facebook is always changing their guidelines or what have you every whenever they feel like it, pretty much. So eventually, I will want to get to just where we're doing it on YouTube, not Facebook at all. So I don't even have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about losing any footage or anything like videos being deleted, what have you, things of that nature. But again, thank everybody for their support. Continually supporting the show, watching the show, chiming in, your comments, your viewpoints, things of that nature there. But like I said, tonight I just kind of wanted to do a mental health check in, make sure everybody's good. You know what I mean? People going through different stages in their life, facing different adversity, what have you. So I just wanted everybody to kind of chime in. Let everybody know, get in the comments, let me know what's going on in your life, make sure everything is good with you. And anything that we need support with or need to talk about, you can put it in the comments or you can hit me offline, or we could chop it up. But I just wanted to kind of make sure everybody was good tonight. Um, wasn't a lot that I necessarily wanted to talk about in current affairs. Uh, we all seen the the play or the orchestration or whatever that happened over the weekend with Putin and Trump. Um, then I seen that did they have a meeting yesterday or was it's tomorrow? Him and uh, Zelensky from Ukraine. I know that they said the Joint Chiefs are meeting similar tomorrow to discuss things of nature, but I haven't really been watching that too closely. I've been keeping. I watched more preseason football this year than any other time in my life. Uh, but yeah, just ready for the NFL season to get started, get back to football. Um, I wanted to wait till some people come in too. There's something that I wanted to talk about, or I wanted to ask you guys or you guys' opinion on a few topics, and then we could get up out of here after that. But I'm on these different dating sites or different groups that I'm in. And, they have different kind of discussion panels or what have you. Um, I wanted to know when in terms of dating or courting, as the old people used to say, or getting to know someone or whatever. And I guess you could even put it in terms of marriage as well. Like how important is consistency? I see that word more and more frequently. I need consistency. I need consistency. I need consistency. How important is consistency to you? And what does consistency? How would you describe consistency in your own term, in your own words, according to how you feel about things? Kind of curious on that from a male's perspective and a woman's point of view. How are we feeling about consistency? Let me make sure I got my. Oh yeah, okay, I got the comments. Yeah, you guys just get in the comments. Let me know. One, is consistency important to you in terms of relationships? And what exactly is your definition of consistency? What does consistency look like for you? And I also had something else I seen over the course of the previous week too that I wanted to discuss with the church folk too. I wanted their opinion on we live in a day and age where we seeing more and more. Um, oh, happy early born day, Dorothy! Congratulations. I'll be sure to hit you up tomorrow as well. But happy early birthday! Let me be the first to say happy born day to you. Um, and thanks for tuning in as usual and all your support as well. But what does consistency look like to you in terms of relationship? And is it consistency also, is it important to you? 62. That's all right. 62 years young. That's a beautiful thing. That's a blessing in itself. So congratulations on that. You out there, Sam? Sam usually creeping in on YouTube. Don't y'all all type in the comments at once. But I'm really curious about this. In terms of relationships, what does consistency look like to you, and how important is consistency? And it doesn't have to necessarily be in romantic relationships. It could be any form of relationship. But if you're talking about just general friendships and sisterhood and brotherhoods, be sure to specify the difference. But what does it look like to you? What's good, Sam? I figured you was out there. What does consistency look like to you, Sam? I know that you're married, so it might be a totally different definition. But I'm interested in a woman's perspective and single and married, because words have different. I was telling somebody last week and said the dictionary, we have the dictionary for context, but it's funny how we have the dictionary and it just gives us exact meaning of words, but yet and all we still choose to have different definitions of various words, no matter whether it be love, whether it be whatever. It's always interesting people's different point of views or how they definition of a particular word. Sam said being consistent at good things versus negative things is key. Okay, so I'm taking that you think consistency is important, so to speak, or it's high up for you. What about you, ladies? Any ladies out there tuning in that want to chime in on what consistency looks like to you? Definitely want to hear from the ladies because they're the ones that I see in a lot of these discussion panels that's always talking about consistency the most. There's a significant amount of women that talk about or consistency is a necessity than men are. For me personally, I think that consistency is important. But then again, how do you define consistency? What is consistency to you? Is it constantly trying to reach out to a person? Um, is it constantly making phone calls? Is it constantly texting? Is it overbearing? Um, and it's kind of, that's why I'm interested in knowing some of you ladies' point of view as well, because I know for me, um, I don't like to feel vulnerable. That's one thing. I have no problem with vulnerability once I get into a relationship, but in the beginning, I don't necessarily want to be vulnerable. Um, so I've come, I've shared a little bit of my background growing up, and different things that I've been through in life in general. But one thing about me is I don't like rejection, so to speak. So I'm not a very um, forthcoming, or uh, I don't take initiative like most people think that I would, um, because you can't miss a shot. You can't make a shot that you don't. You can't miss a shot that you don't take. And the same could be said in opposite. You can't make a shot that you don't take. But for me, um, I like to know where a woman is that she's interested. But then you cross the line sometime when you, in terms of, okay, so with me, I just don't like the same come across like we used to say back in the day. I don't never want to be seeming like I'm sweating somebody or overbearing. But that might be what consistency looked like for me. When you say you need consistency, it might be me constantly reaching out to you, me constantly checking on you or whatever. But it might be come across to you as overbearing. And that's one thing I don't want to do. That's one reason I think consistency is important. But I think in any terms of any kind of relationship, romantic, friendship, brotherhood, again, sisterhood, I think conversations uh, are very, communication is very essential to anything working. I would say definitely more so than consistency. We have to communicate what it is that we need, what we like, what we don't like. In the words of Sam, whether we're talking about good things versus negative things, it's important to communicate what those things look like to you, because what might be negative to me might be a positive to you, or vice versa. But we don't know those things unless we actually have conversations about it. So I think that conversation brings about a difference, and it's very important for us to be able to come together and discuss these different things, so that we have a clear parameter of goals, so to speak, goals and expectations. So I think that communication is very, very important. And like I said, that goes for all relationships, not just romantic, but just in general. What are you expecting out of our friendship? What are you expecting out of our brotherhood? Are you expecting nothing? What are you willing to give, and vice versa? That's another thing too. That's another topic that I kind of said I wanted to get into tonight, but I mean, we can or we can't. But I want to know, like, in terms of like when people actually break up, and y'all can still chime in on the consistency. But when people bring up, we hear loyalty a lot these days here. How do people go about picking uh picking sides, so to speak? Or do you feel like you have to pick sides? What is your loyalty line in terms of breakups and divorce and things of that nature there? Do you feel like you have to pick a side? Hey Sammy, what's going on tomorrow, man, with the defense people? I seen, I was reading something, or I got the alert saying that they were supposed to be getting together to discuss something. What's going on with that? Yeah, the government. They I was saying, was it NATO? Maybe the leaders of NATO. Maybe Some with the military. Yeah, I think it was NATO. They're supposed to be getting. They had supposed to have a meeting tomorrow to discuss something, but I wasn't sure. I didn't read it to find out what exactly they were supposed to be discussing. But yeah, I want to say it was NATO. Nobody want to touch the picking sides. And I'm not saying I'm not. I don't want to imply that you have to pick sides either. I mean, I'm just interested in hearing other people's point of view in terms of that particular topic. Y'all give me 1 second. Let's see. Let me see. My bad. I had sent you the link in case it was too much to type. Let me see. They met yesterday in D.C. They are wanting Trump to commit to putting U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine. He said no, it's not the U.S. war, but Europe's war. Gotcha. And that was NATO, right? I forgot who it is. Somebody it said something about somebody's meeting tomorrow as well. Or is it him and the president of Ukraine tomorrow? Some kind of meeting is supposed to go down tomorrow on Wednesday, but I'm not sure exactly which one it was. I don't even remember. Mhm. All right, so I guess we're not talking about that. It's not interested on picking sides. Want nobody want to be put on the spot, so to speak. But like I said, I just kind of wanted to come on and check on people, make sure everybody was good, mental health, everybody's in a good state of mind. Um, we talk about it all the time. Even when you're going through, you don't have to. It's important to know that you're not going through things alone. Um, whether it be death, whether it be unemployment, whether it be divorce, singleness, trouble in your marriage. No matter what it is, you don't have to go along. You don't have to talk about anything publicly, so to speak, either. But I just kind of want to make sure everybody's good, checking on everybody, make sure that everybody's in a good headspace, so to speak. So you can just put simply yes or no. I'm in a good place. I'm in a struggling place. You don't have to get into specifics. You don't have to go into details, but just want to make sure everybody's good. And then we go on, rest on our feet, and get on up out of here. Enjoy our Tuesday night. Hey, what's good, my brother Ed? Salute. Congratulations on another school year too, man. I forgot what it was that you had, but I seen that you had posted something. Um, you guys had some kind of event, a golfing event, I believe it was. Salute to that, bro. Proud of you, man. Congratulations. Want to get my golf game up, especially the more experienced I get in life. Can't hit that court like we used to. Definitely not getting on no more football fields. Um, so yeah, I definitely want to pick up the game of golf. But yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. Making strides a long way from 12th Street, my brother. A long way from 12th Street. Happy born day again to Amanda. I seen Amanda celebrated over the week. She was one of the ones that was celebrated over the weekend, over this last week. Happy born day, big sis. Um, yeah, man, golf is that's the new link. What's good, son? Exactly, boy. Hey, but I try to tell people all the time, man. That's one thing about us, man. Um, I appreciate humble beginnings. Yeah, she getting up there, but still look the same too. Still look the same. But one of the things I love about coming from the NC, and I know Sam can relate to this too. When you come from Detroit, you think about different things that you went through growing up, man, and sometimes you'll be amazed at how the tears start to flow, or the humbleness will come in when you realize how far God or whatever it is that brought you from, like you said, from humble beginnings to where we are now. And, a lot of people, a lot of us have lost people along the way, peers and friends and what have you. And for us to still be here, no thanks to anything that we did ourselves, but nothing but the mercy and the grace of God, man. It totally amazes me sometimes. It totally amazes me. Roxy, every time I see a post from you, girl, I get re-inspired again. You keep on fighting. You keep on being an example that God is real. God is faithful. He will not put more on us than we can bear. Um, is it fair that you have to go through everything that you go through with? No, may not seem fair to us, but who are we to determine what's fair and what's not fair, what we should have to deal with and what we shouldn't have to deal with in terms of when we talking about the things of these are individuals. I'm strictly talking to individuals that say they want God to have their will and their way in their life. Um, we don't get to determine that. Once we surrender our lives to Him, we no longer get to determine what we deserve and what you know what I mean. He's not asking us to lay down our life for anybody. So that in itself, but He also lets us know and He reassures us that He will never put more on us than we could bear. So do I think that it's fair that you have to endure everything? No, but I think that you're the perfect candidate that God has ordained. Goes through all your heart, and girl, know that I love you. I'm always praying for you. You're in my continual prayers, literally in my daily prayers, and I'm so proud of you and the example that you are, and how strong your faith is. Like I said, sometimes I remember young people as a young boy growing up in church. They used to be these certain songs and I used to, oh God, especially playing the drums, like, oh man, don't nobody want to hear that, man. I want to play. I want to play some. Let's rock. But it's like one of them sayings. When I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say, and sometimes those words hit different. The older that we get. Sometimes all you got to do is think. Just think about where God has brought you from, and that's enough for you to really be thankful, humbly thankful, and we really appreciate it. Hey, what's good with you, Sam? Can you hear me, Sam? You froze up on me, Sam. Roxanne said, "True. He asked me for a purpose, and I will forever be grateful and thankful. Love you too, friend. No doubt, no doubt about it, girl. You stay encouraged. Uh, let Sam get a chance to come out and go back in. Um, but yeah, I definitely didn't plan on talking that, but it was like when I seen Ed name up and Roxy too, particularly. It's like I said, it just makes me think back. Sometimes all you gotta do is just think. It's enough. You might not always be where you want to be. Might not be any of that there, but when you think about how good his God has been and where He's brought you from the mean streets of Detroit, from the streets of from the streets of Newark, New Jersey, uh, it's like wow, it's amazing. Especially when we think about how hard some of our lives were and different things that we've been through with. I get totally amazed when I see us and we looking good for our age. We out here killing the game, bro. Like real talk. Like that's something that because when you hear different people's stories and the circumstances that they grew up in, you would have think for that. Oh man, you would expect for them to look much older, look like what they've been through, like they say. But many of us, we don't really look like what we've been through or the circumstances and the surroundings that we come out of. So that's another reason to be thankful. What's good, Sam? Can you hear me now? Or can we hear you rather? No, I can't hear you. I can see you and I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. Uh, Ed, while you in here, while you and Roxy in here, y'all can answer that question for me. The first question I had earlier was consistency. How important is consistency to you, and what does consistency look like in terms of relationship, whether it be romantic, whatever? I hear trying to kick in, Sam, but I still can't hear you. Nah, I can't hear you. Okay, y'all can't hear my music, can you? I don't want to get in trouble for that. Just wanted to have me a little bit of background music tonight, but can y'all hear it? All the storms I've been through, I look good and not over 50 plus, but God. Absolutely, girl. None of us do. Well, I don't look over 50 because I'm not 50 yet. I'm still the baby of the bunch. But I'm closely approaching it. I'll be 50 in October and looking forward to it. But it amazes me when, like you said, girl, we don't look like what we've been through. Okay. Thanks, Roxy. I'm glad you guys came because I don't want to hear nothing about that there. Yeah. Even if you can, somebody with micro superhuman ears, I do not own the rights to this music. But yeah, it's amazing and it's a blessing in itself, man. I swear it is. Now I was asking about consistency and what else were we talking about? Um, Consistency and picking sides when in terms of divorce or breakups or whatever the case may be. I think in terms of that, well, I'll give my opinion while y'all typing in or we waiting for Sam to come back. Like in terms of me, I think it has a lot to do with the duration of the relationships that you have. One, how long were you guys together before you break up? If you was only together for like maybe 2 years, I don't think that you really struggle with picking sides or having those sides at all. You might really don't care, or you're not really that vested. But when you're talking about relationships and breakups of significant amount of years, I'm quite sure that everybody that's involved, they feel some type of way, one way or another. I wonder how, I just wanted to hear you guys take on that there in those type of situations. What's good, Sam? Still can't hear you, man. I don't think there's anything on my end. I can't see anything on my end.
Test.
There you go.
Oh, my fault.
There's an on and off button, bro.
No, I had to for some reason I couldn't go through my streamer. I had to connect directly to the microphone.
Okay, got
So yeah, my bad.
you. Nah, you good. But yeah, man, what was your take on that in terms of that's what I was saying. So it's like with me, like I said, it depends on the duration of the relationship in terms of picking and choosing sides and things of that nature there. Because sometimes some are easier than others. If you know a couple that's been together, let's say 15 years, and you were actually with them when they met one another, you know what I mean? Of course, you're
Well,
gonna feel the type of way, but I think that also It depends on what my relationship with each person was before they got together. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
With me, in my first marriage, when that ended, um, we had been together for so long that there were literally some of her cousins that thought I was the cousin that they was related to.
Yeah.
Like all the cousins up in Brooklyn and Queens and stuff. So
Hmm.
they thought I was the actual blood cousin.
Yeah,
Like
I can
that's how
relate.
long it had been. But um when that relationship ended, I basically I didn't like unfriend and block, people. Um, but we still
Right.
stay connected like I would, but um when someone has passed away in the family, I send condolences. My wife and I we send our condolences and things, but because of the dynamics of that, because my situation is a little different. When I met you guys at Millbrook,
Hmm.
like nobody knew of my ex. They knew of my new wife because she was basically our son's mother. That's how I looked at it.
Hmm.
So it wasn't a reason to communicate, but for some reason it was like real sketchy. Like sometimes I see her and say, "Hey, what's going on?" And she act weird. And one time I asked my son about it. I was like, "Look, I wanted to go to you know, Aunt Sally's funeral, but I said, your mom be tripping." Like he's like, "I know, she just going through some stuff." So I don't know is because sometimes I sense it's because that um we both remarried,
Hmm.
but I think her next marriage only lasted maybe a couple years, and mine, I feel like we stronger than ever. And don't get me wrong, every relationship goes through trials, every relationship goes through things, but when you talk about the word being consistent, I think it's one of those things that we also have to be resilient, you know because right now, especially when it comes to like women, especially the new generation, grown up in social media, they're looking for memes, not memes, they're looking for moments, like Instagram moments, Instagram story moments, Facebook story moments. They're not battle tested, and they're not used to or prepared to be battle tested because it's not something that they have seen. So I think, that's why I said earlier about being consistent in good things and not bad. Because there's some dudes out here that's dogs. They consistent at being a dog.
Hmm.
you know and just like there's women out here, they consistent as wanting to be in a club. So that's what I meant by being consistent with good things. But um any relationship, like, um my wife had a friend and they were married, and I was friends with her husband all on social media. And we was cool when I would meet him, but when they divorced, I
Hold up.
cut ties.
Bring that back. Explain that again. The scenario again.
A real good friend of my wife, had
Hmm.
gotten married. We was at the wedding and everything, and I was real cool with him. So me and him connected on Instagram, Facebook, all those things. Sometimes we rode and hung out some.
And then they
But
got divorced.
but when they got divorced,
Okay.
I cut ties with him. And the reason why is because I knew his wife first. Like without his wife, I would not have known him.
Okay.
And I felt he was wrong in how that relationship had broken up.
Okay.
It's military, and I felt he could have handled it better as a man. And
I see what
so
you're saying.
So I kind of like lost respect. And then when I like unfollowed him and did all that stuff, he reached out to me. He was like, dude, why you unfollow me? Me and you, we cool. I thought we was cool. I said, yeah, but what you did was foul. Like what you did was just foul. And I knew her before I knew you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so to me, that's just I said, she's like my sister.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I can't be cool with you because if she see me on social media responding to your stuff, it can do something to her head, like trying to get over relationships and stuff. So that's why I think sometimes we need to cut ties, you know, um, like me and my wife, we had this thing like when we was going through our courtship and all that, we were communicating our boundaries. And I basically said, don't do anything you would get mad at me for doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do it. Like if you like anybody we was in a past romantic relationship with, is no contact on social media. We ain't connected as friends. We ain't, things like that. My we stopped hanging around with other single people and just started, our group became couples.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the discipline I think that a lot of people don't have. Like, women, they may be, I'm speaking in general. They
Mm-hmm.
may be used to every summer when all their girlfriends, nobody's married, doing a hot girl summer, going to Jamaica, going wherever. But then one of the friends get married, so now she has a family. She has to think about she can't go to every hot girl summer trip.
Mm-hmm.
And as more and more get married, they kind of understand that the ones that try to stay doing that, a lot of times it may not, it doesn't seem like it works out,
Mm-hmm.
not to where they're happy.
And I think, and along those lines, I think with me, everything I always try to tell people. I know I could be complicated at times, but everything is in black and white for me,
Mhm.
because everything is case by case. I understand exactly where you're coming from, and like the first scenario that you talked about, I did just the opposite. Like there was a couple that I knew, um, and I knew her longer than I knew him. You know what I mean? But when they got divorced, me and him, we stayed cool. And me and her, we still, it wasn't no beef with us, but it was almost like on some brotherhood type thing. Like I just felt more loyal to him, even though I knew her longer. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think everything is case by case, again, it's not that you have to pick sides, but sometimes you do. Um, like this, like you said, the last scenario, when I was married, um, that was one of the things I never really tripped on. I didn't care if my ex-wife went on girl weekends or girl trips and things of that nature. She didn't have to necessarily stop being friends. I wasn't gonna stop being friends with my friends that were single and what have you. But to your point earlier, don't do anything that you don't want me to be doing. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
trust and I trust the judgment. You know what I mean? Just don't only any rule and any the only real rule that I had. I won't say rule. I don't like the word rule when you're talking about relationship. But one of the things that
Boundaries.
yeah, but there you go, boundaries that I've always had in any relationship that I had. And I hate when people hear me say this and they get it misconstrued. Like whatever you do, just don't get caught. I'm just I'm a firm believer in that. Whatever you do, just don't get caught. Don't have me out here looking stupid. You know what I mean? And what I mean by whenever I would tell women that's potential situations, so to speak, um, they would always say, "Oh, so you giving your girl a permission to cheat on you?" That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's okay to cheat on me. I'm
Mhm.
just saying whatever you do, if you find it disrespectful, if I did the same thing, don't you get caught doing it. You know what I mean? If you have an issue with me and you verbalize this that you have an issue with me having an ex, don't let me find out that you got a you have still have your friendship with your ex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you playing the rules shouldn't be different for you than they are for me in terms of relationship. And if I can't have a relationship with anybody in my, no matter how good, that we just platonic friends now. You know what I mean? We're not romantically interested because there are relationships that are like that that we see all the time. Um, you know what I mean? But it's like, no, I'm not gonna hold you to that standard. I'm not always gonna be worried. Well, why you on the phone with him or whatever. If I really trust you, that's not really. But to your point, you can't have these safeguards. You can't have these precautionary measures, so to speak, to avoid certain situations. You know what I mean? If that's what you so choose for your relationship, I don't think that everything is either black or white or scripted. These are the do's and don'ts of relationship. I think to your point, that's why I said earlier too that it's so important to communicate because we need to set the parameters of what faithfulness, what being committed, what all does that look like to us? You know what I mean? We might have different definitions than our parents had. So we can't
Well,
go by
yeah, all communication isn't good communication. And what I mean by that is like
absolutely.
when you first start in a relationship talking to somebody, everybody's on their best behavior. Everybody's being nice. Like she's going out the room to break wind. You leaving out the room, like it's certain things that you do. But the one thing that we did was, we set those boundaries because I think we looked at our past relationships
Mhm,
and thinking about how can we move forward stronger
mhm,
or like learn from our mistakes. So for me, is one of those things where when we talked, it was about prevented like preventative stuff,
mhm,
because for example, let's say I go have lunch with a lady and it's business and it's not my wife. We go to Starbucks and we talking business.
mhm.
Okay, game plan. Oh yeah, it's a few smiles because okay, yeah, that works. That org chart, everything looks good. And then one of her friends or co-workers or something happens to
Nosy
stop by
Natalie.
Starbucks and they visually see me smiling, talking to somebody.
Girl, why was your husband all up in her face like that?
And the thing is, my wife would be like, oh, it's probably business, or
Mm,
but the thing is, seeds get planted.
mhm.
And I don't want to plant seeds that are at risk of germinating,
Yeah.
and growing into a weed. So it's not necessarily that. It's just, we're all human. We all make
Mhm.
mistakes. We're all flesh. The thing is to prevent. It's almost like a football team. You take Dylan Gabriel, and Shador Sanders. They're gonna make mistakes. They're rookies. And the thing is like they keep practicing. They watch film to learn how to prevent from making the same mistake.
Yeah.
So our past relationships was our film, our game film. So where did I mess up? Where did I screw up here? Well, I missed the A gap here, or I should, like I think that's what when I talk about communicating, when you're in a relationship with someone or someone that you're serious about, you should always come together and come up with that game plan
Yeah.
because a lot of people, and especially women, in general, they look at marriage as being the end, the finish line. For me and my wife, marriage was the starting point,
Mhm.
and also I tell people you have to be consistent in learning how to date different people. Like for example, I'm not the same person I was when I was 19.
Absolutely. And you shouldn't be.
I'm not the same person when I turned 31. I
Nor
wasn't
should
the same.
she. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So instead of people being comfortable, you have to learn how to date the new personality. Now I'm not talking about somebody, oh, all of a sudden like she Jackie Robinson beating them down with glass vases, you need to get out. But I'm talking about like when different personalities, because we don't have the same needs that we had at 21. We don't have the at 50. I didn't have the same needs that I had at 40. The same things at 50 don't make me happy. Like when I was 40, it was all about the end time of me playing basketball. I know not to get out there on the court no more because all my friends hitting their 40s was tearing ACLs and Achilles. So now I'm 50, it's all about cutting my grass. I get peace in cutting my grass, you know. So and I think it's the same thing for my wife. Now she has peace sitting in the backyard in the middle, barefoot on the grass and just sitting there listening to music or meditating. So I just think that's the thing that we have to understand. We have to stop in relationships. We have to stop looking at that as the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
We're
I think
just
I see both point. I see both sides of the coin because I think that could equally be dangerous too. And approach. I'm just playing devil's advocate, to
Mhm,
get both sides of the perspective because a lot of times you could, to your point, you saying that you use previous relationships as a blueprint, so to speak, the do's and don'ts. But at the same time, I think a lot of times when we go into future relationships, that could be problematic because we're constantly comparing where we came up short in the previous relationship, whereas how we came up short for this particular person's need might be exactly what this new person needs, which goes back
mhm,
to our point why we got to have conversations sometimes. And it could be that could be one of the reasons that I'm still where I am now as far as in terms of relationships, single and whatnot, like you say, because my approach is I'm not on my best behavior when we first meet.
mhm,
You're going to get unapologetically me. I'm not going to serve you up no dream. I'm not going, you know what I mean? I'm not going to put on this fake facade and try to wine you and dine you and romance you. I have two sons. I raised them both the same thing. I said the same thing you do to get her, that's the same thing you're going to have to do to keep her. So if you
mhm.
start out with buying the flowers and taking on expensive vacations, you better be prepared to keep that up. I used to be a stop on the side of the road at a red light. Dude got a bucket of flowers. I grab some, here and there, that type thing there. But I'm not going to sell you a dream because why? I'm so respectful of me myself that I don't want you to do that for me. I don't want
Yeah.
you. Let's say, for example, if you're a cigarette smoker, and I absolutely will not date a woman that smokes cigarettes.
Mhm.
That's one of my things. I can't do women that smoke cigarettes. However, I don't want you to be a smoker, and every time we're around, well, since he don't like it, I'm not gonna smoke around him. No, don't not be yourself for me because eventually it's gonna come up and eventually it's gonna be a problem. So I'd rather you let me know now. Look, yeah, I like to smoke my cigarettes, and then give me the wherewithal to say, you know what? I know that's been a deal breaker with me in the past, but I might be willing to, take that chance with her. I highly doubt it, but
Yeah.
give me that option, so to speak. So that's
Well,
one reason
yeah,
I'm real.
cigarettes to me, you could take a female and she could be what we call a 10. I see that cigarette come out -7. You don't went from a 10 to a 3. And the thing the thing is like, we shouldn't have to compromise. Like I tell people like don't be unrealistic. Like uh I was talking to this one lady one time and she was like, "Yeah, the dude I get with he gotta at least make what I make or more. He gotta make 6 figures. He gotta be at least 6'1", and he gotta be in shape." And I'm sitting there like, okay, you 5'3". You want somebody 6'1".
And are you
You
in sync?
you like how Samuel he is like you dang on 5'3", 220, hitting the A gap like Emmett Smith.
Yeah, Barry Sanders in his blood.
Like, you want these things. You want somebody to make this. But I asked, I said, so what are you bringing to the table? Oh, me. I said, he can get
I
that
am the
anyway.
table. That's the new one. I am the table.
Yeah. And I'm like,
And
well,
that's why you got no furniture, because you the table.
did you see remember the guy that was married to Holly Berry, David Justice, the
Yeah,
baseball
I
player?
just seen that. I just seen that.
And where he said he saw, they were young and
She clapped
everything.
back
And
too, though.
huh?
I said she did clap back too, though.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is like her clapback was her being content with her life, which ain't
Hmm.
nothing wrong with.
Yeah,
But
absolutely not.
he stated what his expectation was. He was looking for someone when he saw his helpmate, he was looking towards something as the mother of his kids, motherly.
Hmm.
And I think when they got together and he wasn't I don't think he was clapping at her. He just said that, he was young and he was like, this is Holly Berry,
Hmm.
like he's like,
And to me, go ahead, go finish. I
he's
I
like it,
I get my take after you finish.
yeah, so it should be enough because I see someone like Tracy Ellis Ross. I see the hurt in her because she's like, I'm this successful black woman. And now she just started traveling because she didn't hardly travel because she wanted to do that with her husband.
Hmm.
She was hoping to have kids, she was hoping to have all these things. And now it's not that, my wife was watching her show the other day and I sat in there and I started watching it. She took a trip to Morocco and she would like go off and vent like, and you could see her eyes tearing up. Like she was like, I thought at this point in my life I would be with that person
Hmm.
to be seeing the world with. So it's like when we get to a certain point, we have to just be content.
Hmm.
Like there was a lady that got married at the church. She was like 72 and her husband was like 74. Matter of fact, I think they was in their 80s. And I said, Miss Shirley, y'all gonna do counseling? You know, she's like, counseling? Boy, I we don't need no counseling. When you get old as we need all the time we can get, and I'm gonna
Exactly.
get them Chinese underwears and all that stuff to wear, like so she has that wisdom. But I just think that David was just expressing like that in his mate, he was because her glamorousness and her beauty, her stardom, he they was just talking, he kind of like didn't see all of that. But
So
then
you make a good point, and that's what I wanted to get to. To me, he showed it wasn't necessarily clapback, but it was definitely uncalled for because when you watch the interview, he brought it up, not them. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have to go that much into detail, and he didn't have to take shots on. It was some shots thrown, in
well,
my
they
opinion.
asked him, didn't they ask him why it didn't
Yeah,
work out?
but
So
no,
that's why
why
it
did
didn't work out.
after he opened the door? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They made a joke of a Kansas Warrior where, man, you was with Holly and all that. He the one that chose instead of just shutting it down. While
Mhm.
you're currently married to in a whole nother situation, he could have just, it is what it is, and moved on. He
Yeah.
chose to go down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? And I look at it like this, right? And we all heard different stories about Holly Berry, this here, that there. One, I think this it showed a lack of character on his part. To your point, exactly,
Mhm.
because we just used the scenario earlier with the cigarettes. Holly
Mhm.
Berry is Holly Berry, but if I see Holly Berry pull out a pack of Newports, she's not necessarily Holly Berry to me.
-7.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for you to be a grown man saying, well, that's not who I wanted. They, fool, did you ever think that maybe you're not the type of dude that she wanted to have kids with either? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It might
Mhm.
be, it goes both ways. I see this on both sides of the coin. in terms of stuff like situations like that. And who to say that she wasn't motherly at that particular time? She just wasn't necessarily the mother that she was looking for because he made the
Well,
statement.
I think he was saying like she didn't cook at all. Like he,
I know grown women right now that's 50, 60 years old that cannot cook a meal but can order they behinds off. Does
mm.
that make them less of a woman because they can't cook? You know what I mean?
Oh
No.
yeah, but be honest, just like how women can state their expectations and who
Mm-hmm.
they want to be with, men should be able to do that same thing because if a female says, "Okay, this cat, my cat that I get with, he got to have a six pack or at
Mm-hmm.
least a four pack,
Yeah.
something," and then she got this thing on fupa the size of his chest. Like don't you can't
Realistic
expect.
expectations.
Yeah, you gotta be realistic, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I meant by everybody now is looking for the Instagram story or
Mm-hmm.
the everybody is living life now for the post, to because I think guys, we really don't care. Like when somebody said, "Oh, I got a degree in this and this," guys, we don't care, in general.
Mm-hmm.
We
For
don't
the
care
most
about
part.
the. I mean, yeah, you have the outlier that, "Oh, man, my wife got the PhD," and stuff like that, but I think for the most part, he's saying that because he's proud, he may know how hard she worked, but now you can buy a PhD. You go to domyhomework.com and you can get an undergrad, you give them your school login and password, $4,000 for associates. $8,000 for undergrad. Your master's is 11,000, and they'll do your PhD uh, dissertation for like $15,000.
Yo, appreciate the hoods up. He said, salute to the panel, salute to the chat. I subscribed and I shared y'all on my community wall. Soon as the show in, bro, I'll be doing the same thing back to you, man. I appreciate it, man.
But
Uh,
that's what I mean. But that's why I don't hold a lot of weight when it comes to like higher education, because I think about those 5,000 nurses in Florida that paid $5,000 to bypass a residency, and that now they all around the country as a dang on RN, and they didn't even do it. They just paid $5,000.
mm-hmm.
And just like UCLA, they allowed all these people to come in the medical program, and then when they did their test the year after finishing, nobody passed the test because they dropped the standard so much.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't hold a lot of weight in higher education because to
And that's why I
me,
say it's important too, not to cut you off, but that's why it's
yeah,
important for everybody to be clear because your expectations of a man might be totally vastly different than what I'm looking for out of a woman. You know what I mean? We got
yeah,
different criterias and we can't every scope everybody in the thing. Like I said, in terms of he had made the statement with David Justice, he had made the statement where, I'm from middle America or wherever he's from, and my mom did this. And like, dude, I never understood that theory anyway. Because people always talk about it, how, a lot of women as much as they don't like them, and we talking about generally, we're not talking about for everybody. But a lot of women they usually date people that remind them of their father in some aspect because that's the concept of what a real man is, whatever the case may be, and guys vice versa. I never wanted to marry anybody that resembled my mother, and I love my mother unconditionally. But I do not want to be with somebody that constantly reminds me of my mother. I think that's
well,
sick.
what about some of the characteristics, not necessarily the look?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Even some of the like, I don't want somebody that I'm having fun time with, adult time with, to
No,
remind me too much of my mother, her characteristics.
I don't think when I say characteristics, I think of like life skills, like, when you're in the military and you got to shave all the time, that helpmate that's gonna sit on your chest and help you get out them ingrowns,
Yeah,
like
so that's what I'm saying.
you
Everybody has a different criteria. I'm just
you
saying,
know,
I'm just talking about me
it's the
personally.
care. It's the care. It's not necessarily that specific action, but like a lot of my boys like that went to Japan when I was in Tokyo.
Hold up before
Oh,
we go, because I don't want to forget what I was about to say about him
okay.
too. Not just David, but even when you were talking about in terms of Tracy Ellis Walk, for me that's problematic because you're sitting here. Here it is. I'm approaching 50. I'll be 50 in October. I refuse to find myself somewhere by myself, reflecting on my life and saying, you know what, man, by this time, I thought I would be much further along. I thought I would have this in the bank. I thought I would be happily married, house with the picket fence and all that there. Because it don't matter what I thought or what I wanted. Wants and realities are two different things. And none of those things define me as an individual. If I didn't have any children, if I didn't have two sons at the age of 50, that would not make me less of a man than someone that does have a child. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of times that's what we do. We start comparing it, making these comparisons. And like you said in the case of Tracy Ellis Ross, I thought I would be so much further along and what have you. Why are we letting this dictate to us whether we are? I should have a child by now. Just because you don't have a child does not mean that you're less of a parent. You being married successfully or unsuccessfully or divorced, that should not dictate the character of the measure of success in terms of how you view your life. That's just me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I was watching something with 50 the other day, and he hit the nail on the head with me. I never understood these people, oh well, yeah, I got this ain't nothing. This little light work. My trip ain't nothing. It's just a little Louis Vuitton. I copped the Louis Vuitton. I got on the Balenciagos. Like, yo, I don't care. I think you stupid for spending that kind of much money
Yeah.
on name brand for people that don't even like people that look like me and you. All they care about is your money. They ain't doing nothing in our communities. They ain't spending, you know what I mean? They ain't got no community centers. They don't even care that you exist. As long as you spend that $1,000 for a t-shirt on with their name on it. That's foolish to me. I'm like that when it comes to cars. I'm like that when it comes to dressing. I wear what I like. I don't care I don't let society dictate to me what's hot and what's not hot. If I like it,
Mhm.
I'm rocking it. And that y'all have all the jokes you want to with it, but I don't let these society constructs dictate to me my measure of success for myself based on what I got on, what kind of education I got. I should have a PhD by now. Okay. I know people with PhDs that's stupid. Like, you got all this education, and how factual is the education that you do have? That's one. You just know a whole bunch of what they taught you. But does that mean that it's true? Can you apply that to everyday life? Well, like they always talk about, you got book smart, you got street smart. I've been in
Mhm.
conversations with people with professors and everything else. They're like, you mean to tell me you never been to college before? No, only time I've ever been to a college campus was either to go to a sporting event or to a party. That's the only two times I've ever been to a college campus. But does that mean that I'm less of a person because I know more about certain things than you do? No. Does that make you better than me because you have a degree? No. So I think a lot of times we put a lot of these different things, and then it's like I said, at the end of the day, when you think about it, who really cares that you got on a $500 pair of flip flops? Like, if that
Mhm.
means something to you, more power to you. But I ain't looking at you, ooh, you flossing. Ooh, I'm looking at you like, ooh, you stupid. You know what you could have spent $500 on other than some flip flops because of this seal. I don't get it. I just
Yeah,
don't get it.
it's what it was created for. Like, there's this thing on YouTube. It's an old video, and it's called. If you look up YouTube and you put,
It was good, Will.
it's how to sell to the Negro,
Oh man,
and you
I
watch
seen about
that,
that. Yeah.
and there's another one called Ethnic Notions, right? And that's showing like back in the days, you had all these brothers and sisters back in the 40s, and you look at their photos, even the kids, they had suits on.
You
Like
know it.
when they went to the grocery store, they put on, that was their clothes. They didn't have tattered clothes. But then there was that one a white entertainer who was traveling around. So what he started doing the blackface. And
Mhm.
then when he did the blackface, he was like, "What? How can I really get their attention? Oh, let me start tearing my clothes and stuff." Guess what happened? All the black kids started looking at him, looked at him as a star. So guess what they started doing? Tearing their clothes. Like there used to be something called used jeans or damaged jeans
Mhm.
where they cost a lot, but they look like they was worn out. Like even now, some people wear like,
I remember
and
I remember my mother would tell me back in high school when the cut up jeans was the thing in the 80s, the late 80s, like, well, I wish
yeah,
you would cut up them jeans. And then when I got old enough to actually afford my own jeans, I'm sad. I started saying to myself, I wish I would pay a cut up jeans as much as I paid for these Levi's myself. But then even when I would do it, it's like, like they say, history repeats itself. Then it come 20 years later to see that cycle all over again, and you got dudes paying $200 for some ripped up jeans. You got these young people out here wearing high waters on purpose, but we done see people get beat down. Like you
mhm.
choosing to wear high waters. So
Well,
again,
you gotta think about that. That's their stylist that they got, and I think that's a different conversation.
but that's my point. It's
That's
all
the
about what's we taught
feminization of
or what
black
we
men.
condition the program to
Yeah.
believe that you know what I mean. Here it is. Like I said, it was embarrassing. You had people that wouldn't go to school because you didn't want to get picked on for wearing high waters. Now, like you say, it's fashionable. Why? Who is on this committee that tells you that that's fashionable? These dudes with they pants, they jeans down their knees. Like who said that that's hot? And do you
What
know
about
what that?
the choker necklaces now? The Migos, they brought I'm like, I said, these dudes wearing choker chains, carrying pocketbooks. Oh,
Wearing
this a man
skirts?
purse. I'm like, dude,
How
that's
you
a purse.
gangster and you got a skirt on?
But I tell people that's the stylist. They used to have that fable, the Emperor's New Clothes.
Mhm.
That's how you have all these entertainers walking around here, all these new emperors with these tailors that's what just gassing their heads up. And that's why I mean, like, I see dudes like when I saw LeBron make that transition when he went to Miami. He got Dwayne Wade's stylist to start styling him. Next thing I know, LeBron come out with what carrying the Merce, the man purse, wearing capris. Um, Cam Newton listened to LeBron and started getting a stylist to do the same thing. And they said Cam started showing up at the press conference looking like the first lady or one of the deaconesses.
Oh
Like,
yeah, Cam was wild. Cam was straight
yeah, but
wild.
that's
But
the
that's
thing
his
too.
right.
I think that's the biggest thing is like it seems like society is trying to feminize black men. And
Absolutely.
and I think
You ain't seeing Joe Barrow walk up in there like that, or Hubert uh, out there with the Chargers, or Josh Allen, and you know what I mean. And it's funny how that raises my point. That goes back to my initial point, though. I refuse to let society dictate to me what's fresh, what's fly, what's cool, what based on what I'm wearing, based on what I'm driving. At the end of the
mhm.
day, I don't care what none of these outsiders think of me. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna let that define me because now I got money. I got to start dressing this type of way here. If I thought it looked whack when I was poor, it's gonna be chances are it's gonna be whack to me when I got money. I'm not
Or
spending no.
do what Chad did. He said every watch he had was fake. He said all the jewelry he wore
Now
was
see,
fake.
I won't go that far because I don't do the fake. I'm not
No,
doing nothing I can't
he
afford to
said
do.
he was saying these people are flocking around me because I'm Chad Johnson.
I know.
And he's like, why am I gonna he's like, Shannon Sharp had on a I think an Apple Watch. He's like, what time is it? He's like, it's 10:30. He's
Mm-hmm.
like,
Just
so
watch at the same
it
time.
don't matter how much your watch costs, the time is gonna read the same. So
And
he's like,
that's my point. And I get what you're saying. I get Chad's perspective. I'm just talking about Marv as an individual. Why would I
yeah,
want to put on this fake jewelry for a look? I'm selling you a dream again. If I
yeah.
know that that's why you only hanging around me, Why would I don't want you around me. If I know that you're around me because you think that I got money and I'm flossing and all that there. I don't want those people around me. So I won't
Look,
even go that far of a length, me personally, to get those type of people around me. You see what I'm
look,
saying?
look,
That don't make sense to me.
look how they used to tease or talk about the San Antonio Spurs. They had all them foreign players, right? I think 80% of their roster were European players. And when them jokers would do pregame, they walking through the breezeway, and it would say, "Man, look at San Antonio. They look like they on their way to college. They got book bags on, flannel shirts, like they going to math class or something." Tim Duncan coming in with his tall butt, got a flannel lumberjack shirt on with some jeans and some Chuck Taylor. Like that's the thing I think where we're getting to, like where our society is like everybody's trying to be a influencer. Everybody's trying to do this and get the quick bag, which ain't nothing wrong with the hustle. But I just think that starts to carry into our relationship, our
Mm-hmm.
relationships, because people are now expecting everything to be like, look at Megan Good when she was married to that preacher.
Mm-hmm.
Soon as they got married, literally within 3 months after they got married, they released a book on how to have a successful marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And
In
then they
less than a year, they divorced.
and then they toured around for 9 years getting money selling their book. Soon as people stopped going, guess what? They divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Now she just got married to Majors. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the last name is Majors.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors.
Well, he in shape for his movie roles. So now they starting a workout system, for couples. Like that's why I told folks, like, it's for some people, these relationships that they see on social media is just about the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Them people ain't happy.
It's business, yeah.
Just like I think, Jay-Z and Beyonce, I think that's a contract marriage. When you buy a 50, 60,000 square foot home, you buying separation. Y-
Absolutely.
You know,
You know, Russell when Russell was here before he went on a run, growing up there in Jersey, we got I'm just saying what it is. I'm speaking facts. You know what I mean? I ain't mad at him. I'll be over there. I always say I don't know why Diddy ain't do the same thing, but that's another topic for another
I
day.
think Diddy was about to, but he got caught before
No,
he
you
did.
should have about to. You deserve to be where you at because you took too long
Yeah,
being arrogant and stupid. You should have
yeah.
knew when you was informed that they was about to bring them indictments down when they raided your houses. You should have been on your plane, not a plane, but your plane that next night. Kids,
Mm,
come out for dinner because daddy gonna be gone. You know what I mean? But he
mhm.
wanted to be arrogant and stupid and think that he had enough dirt on everybody else that they wasn't gonna come after them. Dude, you didn't see the playbook, the same playbook 20 years early with a dude named that I love, rest in peace, OJ Simpson.
Yeah.
They made an example out of OJ Simpson because they didn't treat OJ, they didn't view OJ as being a black man in America anymore. We took you in and accepted you as one of us. And this is the
Mhm.
thanks that you give us. You got two unalive people on your resume now. This is how you gonna reward us. We will never give one of you jokers another chance to do us like that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
So do you feel about forgiveness? Like you see how you look at Chris Brown, for example,
mm-hmm,
when the stuff that went down with him and Rihanna.
mm-hmm.
Rihanna said, yeah, she busted him upside the mouth with his keys. You
And
know,
you're a fool if you don't believe that.
no, but the thing is, she said that,
Not that, but I'm just saying. Because people,
and
you guys conspiracy theorists that too to say, well, she only saying that now because of this
no,
and
but
that
she
shit.
said this alone, like
I'm just saying.
when
People
the
lie all the
judge,
time.
I think she still cares for that cat because
Absolutely.
look how she treats him, and I see how people trying to cancel him, just like he was supposed to perform at, I think, the BET or someplace, and
Yeah.
I'm sitting there
This
like,
was like 2016. Yeah, I remember that.
no, I think it was supposed to be recent because he was supposed to perform with Sierra, and they were both
No, that
rehearsing.
that was like 2022, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that was, and they both spent their own money for their
Mhm.
dancers and spent all that time rehearsing, and
Yeah.
then they canceled him. And so he went and did his breezy bowl and making crazy bank. But the thing is like, okay, you look at, like, he got help. He had anger management stuff,
Mhm.
but then people still try to cancel him. But then some of the same people that are blaming him, or trying to prosecute him for something that the person that he did the DV against has forgiven him.
That's
Shows
you
him.
asking my opinion. That's a slippery slope to me. I'll give you one even better. Like, and it's not saying I'm saying I'm not supporting domestic violence in no
Yeah.
type of way, whatever. I'm not with that. It's whack. But at the same token, I always remember the same situation with Ray Rice. Now
Mhm.
here it is. This mug got banned from the NFL, got blackballed from the league, leading the league in rushing, whatever the case may be. But here it is, the same, like you said, the victim in this situation. We all seen the videotape on the elevator. Is not
Yeah.
disputed. He admitted he seemed like he was genuinely apologetic. And to
No,
me,
he came. This is the thing. This is what I feel personally was bad about Ray Rice. He came before stuff came out. He came forward to his team, told them, he said, "Yeah, I hit her. She spit in my face and I punched her and knocked her out." He came forward. They suspended him for 4 games. He served his thing, but then it gets leaked, and then it's like what they call that double jeopardy.
and now that's what I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get
He
to that.
came forward with the truth. He didn't hold nothing back.
Yeah.
He said he hit her.
But
This was before
this
the
is the
video.
difference, and this is why I look at it like it's hypocritical. One, the initial point that I was making, here it is. She's the victim in the situation. Not only did she forgive him after that, they are married to this day.
And
They are together
stronger.
to this day.
Yeah.
So why are we still penalizing him? Like you say, if she's done willing to forgive him and that there. Now, back to the league. This is the problem that I had with league, right? Because back to what I was talking about with the fashion earlier, back to what I was talking about with the cars earlier. People are letting society dictate to them. It's all about optics. The NFL was ready to, like, they was cool with the 4-game suspension until what? The tape came out. And as much as I hate to admit it, we live in a society, especially now, especially since post-COVID, where all
Yeah.
people had to do was watch YouTube and phones, and it's video cameras everywhere. It's like, it's one thing to know something, but it's totally different when you actually see something. It's different when you hear about it versus when you see it. Like even with the Jay-Z and Solange in the elevator. It was all, we had all these stories, but when you, same thing with Diddy and Cassie. It's different when you hear these different things. Now he was just bad all along, because, and that's why I say he's not in the same category when it comes to Ray Rice. Because Diddy, nah, I didn't do this here, I ain't do all that there, I didn't do it. Boom, tape come out. This mug literally dragging him down the hallway. Now all of a sudden, man, we all go through things, man. I just had an episode, but dude, you just was adamant, literally less than 48 hours ago, saying that you didn't do a thing. To your point with Ray Rice fessed up. He said exactly what he did. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But we still penalized him. Same thing with R. Kelly. I remember having the DVD. I think I still got it. This mug is actually adjusting the cameras and making sure everything is on point. It's different when things are hearsay versus you actually seeing them. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And the league was like, you know what? Even though we were just going to suspend you for 4 years, now that the tape is out, it's going to make us look bad, like we don't care. That's why
Yeah.
the league don't care nothing about no ending no racism, but it's a good look. That's why they back to putting it back in the end zones this year in 2025. Because it's a good
Hmm.
optic. Don't
Oh
mean
yeah,
it's what you
and
believe.
and
It's all about
yeah,
the picture that you paint.
yeah, and the other thing is, what's the girl name? The track star, Shakari Richardson.
I posted it last week.
She, I saw that thing on TSA video. He's shoving that cat like Chris Coleman could knock her out. You know,
Exactly.
the way she pushing him and the way he's trying to avoid her for people, and this is why, this is in
It's
general, not
crazy.
is not specific to any one female,
Mm-hmm.
but there's the stigma that women don't face accountability. Like that's their kryptonite is accountability. She never said she was sorry. Just like when she was smoking weed.
No, 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 no. Hold on. Go back there because that's why I posted the whole video that was released of the
Yeah.
incident. Because before you actually see the pushing her, what you just described, she's steady talking to the officer. No, I did not touch him. I
Oh
didn't touch
no,
him.
no.
I
What
didn't
else?
assault him. I
Look,
didn't do
look,
anything. I didn't do anything.
look. This is why I like how they be posting that police film now. Because when they go to the body cam of the officer with him, he's taken up for her. He's like, oh,
No,
it's
that's
just
what I'm saying.
it's but when she is looking over at him, oh yeah, he's a liar. He's a coward. Because
And don't even know what he's saying. Really,
she's
Chris?
thinking,
Really, Chris? You gonna do this here?
he's
Yeah.
like her. Like, but he was defending her and all that stuff, and she was like, he's just Christian for real. You're not a man. You are a coward. Like, and I'm sitting here like, but ain't nobody calling to it's okay because she smoked some weed and her own Team USA, the Olympics said she could compete.
Mhm.
Team USA said no. And that's the thing that people don't understand. They're like, oh, the Olympics, Michael Phelps, he was able to compete in the Olympics. I said, well, guess what? Michael Phelps wasn't competing. He was in a dorm in the off season, bonging up some weed, free, what they call free basing or whatever weed. And he was, he paid a fine. He did his time as far as that. It wasn't his fault. Okay, the next year was the Olympics. He went there, won 5 gold medals. Like they trying to compare apples to oranges, but nobody is saying DV is wrong. It don't matter if like my father used to tell me, he was like, you never lay your hands on a female. But he said, if that female touch you, she ain't no female no more. She the enemy. He's like, if she man enough to hit you, she man enough to get hit back. Now, I never followed his advice with that,
Mhm.
but that was his understanding. He was like, never put your hands on a female. But if you that brave, you want to venture to that, we at this new age of equal opportunity or equal, equality.
Mhm.
Well, you punch me, let me give you some equality and let you see how it feels to be punched back.
Exactly.
So I just think it's the thing about the accountability. And I think when it comes to relationships, I think that's the difference between men that are seeking relationships and women seeking relationships.
Mhm.
Most dudes when they mess, we'll
Well, hold up. I can't let you get away with that. The accountability part with her. The whole thing was I don't care what he was saying. Well, even if he was the point in her why she wasn't taking accountability is because you were lying to the officer.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
don't know what he's
I'm
over here
talking
saying,
about
but
the
you're lying.
apology. I'm talking
Oh,
about
no,
her
no.
quote unquote apology 2 days later. That
But
her PR
I'm
team.
just saying in terms of her, and it's not a female thing because I said the same thing with Diddy in the Diddy situation. Once you get caught lying, you have no credibility with me. You know what I mean? Here it is,
Yeah.
you're so adamant to the officer. I didn't touch him. No, it was just a disagreement amongst a boyfriend and a girlfriend. We were just having an argument. You know what I mean? I didn't touch him. I didn't assault him. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. That's why I'm. What do you want to see my driver's license? I'm not being resistful. I'm not giving you any kind of problems. I didn't touch him. No, it was no
I'm
altercation.
Shakari Richardson.
Then all of a sudden we see the footage, and like you say, she just straight. He's trying to avoid her walking away, and she's going down after chasing him to shove him. Now that you
Yeah.
got caught lying, I don't care if you apologize. I don't care what it is because you should have been straight up. You know what? Look, I was out of pocket. I lost my temper temporarily. To your point with the Ray Rice. Ray Rice said what it was at the beginning. So therefore, We willing to listen to anything you got to say going forward. Once you get
Yeah.
caught in the lie, once I said, Puffy adamant, I'm putting my lawyers on this here. I did not do anything to that woman. Then the tape come out. He want to be in the bathrobe crying and coming to Jesus. He done had to repent. I need some help. But dude, less than 48 hours ago, you just adamantly denied
Mhm.
the same exact thing. You lost all credibility with me. I don't want to hear anything.
And that's the thing, and that's why I brought up the stuff about when she was smoking weed before the Olympics. Everybody knows. Any people watching this, you got kids in college, when you go to that dorm room, look at the smoke detector in the ceiling. If it's wrapped in plastic, guess what? Your kids smoke weed. That's the I remember going up to
Actually,
what
your kid is remedial if you come to visit and they still got the plastic up there because you should have been
they don't
smart
get
enough to take it down.
them jokers. Yeah, but the thing is, they got that plastic to keep the smoke detectors from
Oh,
going
I know
off.
how it go. I've been there. Turn the
And
shower on with the steam and put the towel down.
most athletes experiment. Most of like she didn't have a relationship with her biological mother.
Mm-hmm.
Don't use that because she passed away. That was the reason why you was smoking weed. You've been smoking.
Yeah, start
A
just
lot
and
of
just own it. Own it,
Michael Johnson said in the off season, he used to smoke all the time.
and they all do.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, don't blame it on that. Be accountable for what you did. And I think that was the reason why Team USA, even though the Olympic committee cleared her, Team USA was like, no, because she never like we all know it's people that went to school, was down that school with her, and they know the truth. So I just think when it comes to that, like we need to have the same energy. And that's why, like, when it came to like when you talked about like the R. Kelly tape and stuff like that, the problem that I had with that is not that he went and got time. My problem was he was the only one that got time
Absolutely.
because he told people in his circle that he had a problem. His manager, oh man, I'll write up
And
the.
it got to the point where he didn't have to tell them. They knew it.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, he told them, and the thing is like the parents, like the family that stayed here in Raleigh, that drove their daughter to the airport that was 14 to fly up to Chicago to stay with him for 2 weeks. They collected all this money for 10 years because that was the NDA and all that. You're going to get all this money every month, $10,000 a month for 10 years.
And to me, that's a slippery slope too, because
But once that
where do you draw
money,
that line at?
yeah, but the thing is, to me, they all those parents that accepted any of that money,
I hope it's a
sh-
special place in hell for
yeah, they should have been like just because the money ran out, because it was basically like this. What is he gonna do? He ain't gonna sue us. Like he don't want this out. So that's why they all started coming. And then Oprah, the queen of trying to bring down all black men, like you know, she did the dang on documentary where you had the one girl saying, well, I knew the girl was young, but when I found out she was 14, I threw up. You just said that you knew she was underage.
them.
But when you found out her actual age, like my
Nobody
thing,
stopped supporting them after they found out about Aaliyah, and everybody knew Aaliyah was underage.
oh yeah, but see, that's the thing. Aaliyah's parents had to sign off on that.
That you missing my point. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just making
Yeah,
the point that, like you say, he shouldn't be in here by himself. But at the same token, how do we hold these people accountable? Because all these people's stories aren't told. You don't know. It's like
yeah,
as a parent as yourself, of course you wanted everything to be positive for little Sam. You wasn't telling your position was little Sam, like, listen, that teacher, you already know you need that grade, yo. So if she want to see, what you're working with, that wasn't your approach for as you know what I mean? Where you
You,
have actually, even as far fetched as that may seem to you got parents out there. Listen, daddy been working at this factory for the last 25 years, and we ain't got to put the pot to piss in. You need to go. I just finished watching this. Oh, and it was actually a good watch. Hulu got Washington Black, and I don't know who ever seen it, but it's a pretty decent watch about the
oh,
1830s, about the young black dude, and he's an inventor and all this kind of stuff there. But the
Washington
father,
Black.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a Hulu. Sterling K. Brown did it. He's the producer of it from This Is Us. But there's a scenario in there without telling the whole show, but there's a scenario in the show where the father he gets out of, mind you, the time period is the 1830s. So you got this white dude that had a black baby, had a black child, had a baby with a black person. Of course, that was against the grain, but the young girl grew up to look white, so she was passing, as they used to call passing in the 1900s, back in the day. Which is a whole conversation for another show that I want to get into too. Like if
Like
you could
Abraham
pass,
Lincoln's wife.
yeah, would you?
Yeah.
But when they come over to Vancouver, where freedom for black people was, where a lot of the people in the Underground Railroad was migrating to, is a situation where he had already arranged the marriage for the girl upon their arrival. He just didn't tell her about it, and she got like, "How could you tell not? We came all the way on a boat from London for however many hours. You couldn't tell me that you had already done set it up for me to marry this dude. I don't want to marry this dude. I don't even know this dude. I'm in love with somebody else, or whatever the case may be." But here it was her father, and what he say? You have to do this for the legacy of our family. I've lost all my money once they found out that I had a relationship with. So, and his status was more important to him than love in this situation. You know what I mean? So you're letting this society dictate to you that money is more important than me being a loyal, faithful man to the woman that I love, no matter what her skin color is.
Yeah.
And for my daughter's support. But no, I'm gonna put my daughter in this situation. Come to find out, dude wasn't who he thought he was. That, like I said, I'm gonna let people watch the show. But here it is. It was the same scenario, like we talk about with the Hankersons and Aaliyah and all these other people with R. Kelly. You got some parents that's out here. Like I remember watching The Wire. To this day, the worst character on The Wire is hands down my favorite show of all time.
Yeah.
It's not even up for conversation for me. Hands down. But to this day, Weebay's baby mother, Lil Pump Naaman, his mother is the worst character in the whole show history to me. Boy, you better get out there and sell drugs. This boy only 13, 14 years old. You out here telling your
That's
son
how it was in Detroit.
That's what I'm saying. You got people that's out here, as far as, even though it's not imaginable for us, because we could have never envisioned doing that. You got people out there that's doing that. Girl, ain't nobody tell you to have them big breasts at 13 years old. So you better use them. Yeah. I'm gonna teach you how to use them to your benefit now. You bet. It ain't no need to having them if you can't get no man to pay your bills with them. You got mothers that are teaching their daughters that, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's sickening when you think about it. But it's hard to hold these people accountable. And then we wonder why these girls grow up and these little boys that's molested, Antoine Fisher, things of that nature there, why they go through all this psychological trauma that nobody can understand because we don't know what the effects that it had on them. But how can you only imagine when the person that God has entrusted for you to come to this level, this realm, to your mother, your father, for them to be the person that's selling you out, that's telling you to prostitute your body to keep a roof over your head. This is what it takes to keep a roof over your head. Not go out there and work hard every day, get a degree, or find a trade, or get a job and work your 9 to 5. No, this is the way you want to be taken care of. Yeah. You don't want to be, you know what I mean? Like you got people that, so, and then we wonder why these people are so jacked up in the head when they becoming adults. It's because
the person think about what Kim Kardashian,
that's the person that violated me more than anybody else.
Look, think about what Ray J said about Kim Kardashian mom. She wanted them to make the tape.
Absolutely.
Ray J said when they gave the copy of the tape before she licensed it, she was like, y'all need to reshoot some other stuff. Like,
this ain't enough.
Yeah, that right there is like, that's what's so crazy because literally that tape is what put that family on the map.
Exactly. But here's the other thing, right? Because we having this conversation. What's even sicker than that is to know this, and people, some people, not me, not myself, probably not you, but some people will say, you know what, hey, call it whatever you want to, yo. They're $1 billion industry now. Who cares?
Multi-billion.
Who cares? It ain't what you. It's how you got it. You feel what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like all money. When I had a gambling, one of the things that the old timers used to always tell me was, all money ain't good money. You feel what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I live by that because at the end of the day, I got to know how to get. I remember when we used like back in the day when we was in fifth and sixth grade and all that kind of stuff. There, we used to be playing in the playground park line. You know, it would go in the inner circles. Hey, would you go down on a dude for $5 million? That don't make you gay. Nah, yo. I can't, and my philosophy from that age to now at 49 years old has always been, I can't miss no money I ain't never had.
Yeah.
Because I don't care if it was $5 billion. I would know how I got that money and what I did to get it. I ain't trying to live with that.
Look, you remember you heard of that family, the Chrisleys,
Nah, I'm
the
not familiar.
white
Not off
family
the top
from
of my head.
Georgia? Todd Chrisley, he him and his wife just got pardoned for the tax stuff.
Mm.
And everybody was trying to say that their daughter was one who slept with some people to like to get them pardons. And when they had the father up there, he was like, now Savannah would never do nothing like that. But me, on the other hand, I would have slept with whoever I needed to get up out of there. I
Exactly.
hated prison, you know, and that was the thing. And he also brought to light the mistreatment of people that's in prison that's black, because he said he had Chick-fil-A, he had McDonald's, and his wife was like, you had all that? I had to eat at the DFAC. He's like, I got my own gym time. He's like, it wasn't that bad to me. He's like, it was bad because I couldn't wear he was talking about his clothes and stuff. He's like, I ain't had no, it took time for me to get used to not sleeping in cashmere and silk, but he was like, he you got to check that out. They keep it real. And people can't say that he acknowledged when he got released that he was treated different because of color of his skin. He on that press conference, I'll send it to you, and you just watch it and you'll be like, if more people was honest like this,
Mm-hmm.
because he's like, now we need to put the magnifying glass on the prison conditions. you
Absolutely.
know
It's a new
it,
form of slavery.
yeah, so I just think, like,
Free labor. You got some of these well-known these same clothes companies that you paying $500 for a t-shirt. They only spending 45 cents to get that t-shirt made that you spending $500 on because they getting free labor from inmates.
yeah, look at
You don't
Raleigh.
know it.
Look at downtown Raleigh, where they make the license plates at for the state.
Yeah.
Them jokers getting paid 17 cents an hour on their commissary, working in there on them metal presses and stuff, putting out license plates.
Now we ain't even gonna talk about how many of them they farm out to these farms and picking tobacco and watermelon and peaches and all that kind of stuff. There, it's literally free labor. And in the state of Arkansas, where I came from, this ain't something that somebody told me. This is something I know as a fact. In the state of Arkansas, it's literally free labor because they ain't got to pay
Yeah.
their inmates nothing.
I was stationed in Fort Chaffee out there.
I'm telling you, that you see them jokers on the side of the road, just like life, and they out there working and doing all these different things, what have you, and they don't get paid nothing. They just grateful that they ain't got to sit in no cell for no 24 hours a day. So it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, man, we can get up out of here, man. I kind of, like I said, I wanted to get on that, but real quick, yeah. So who is it that's meeting tomorrow? What is that meeting tomorrow? I seen something. Is
No,
it,
they met yesterday. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get Trump to commit to putting US troops on the ground in Ukraine. And Trump's like, no, we ain't doing that because it's not our war. He's like, we done given $300 billion, and Europe as a whole has only given like 100 billion. He's like, Russia's not on our border; they're on their border. He's like, so that's what they're trying to commit. Because the land that Russia has taken, uh, Putin ain't giving that up, and some of the land that he's taken, um they're wanting the land that Obama gave them when he was president, uh Crimea,
Mhm.
and Putin's not giving none of the land that he's taken, he's not giving up. So that's where the stalemate is coming. But they basically, what Trump said is, what we'll do is we'll sell weapons to NATO at full price from the US so it can create some jobs here, but we're not going to put, any soldiers on the ground to lose their life over there in a war that's not ours. But they met yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
met
it's
yesterday.
right
And
here. I just looked it up. It's saying that is a briefing between NATO. This is what tomorrow is, a virtual briefing tomorrow between to the briefing to discuss recent peace talks regarding Ukraine, featuring discussions on Europe, Eurasia, the European Union, politics, diplomacy, and Russia, governed by NATO.
yeah, NATO, a lot of people don't know, but NATO, they meet almost like bi-weekly.
Okay.
Like, but it's virtual, like how we are now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not.
I just like I said, I just got one of the one of the little threads that was saying something about some meeting to take place on some kind of the briefing that was going to take place on Wednesday, but I didn't click on it to see exactly what it was that they were going to be talking about.
Now look, before we get off, you remember last week what we talked about DC,
Mm-hmm.
about the National Guard and stuff being there?
Mm-hmm.
In the last 7 days, they just released the numbers on how much the crime has gone down, and it came out with 47%. And I'm gonna send you the link showing that. Remember, they were saying, well, why do they need to be in DC? Because the stats and stuff are showing that crime is at its lowest in 30 years. Like, so why would the National Guard, it's gone down 30%.
Mm-hmm.
And I told somebody the other podcast I was on, I was like, you have to remember how they finesse the numbers.
I was about to say I don't believe statistics all the time anyway, myself
Yeah,
personally.
but a few of police captains at some of the precincts have been fired or they're on unpaid leave because what they have been doing to get the numbers down,
Mm-hmm.
the city council offered bonuses for precincts that reduce the crime the most. So what the police captains started to do of their precincts, they started to reclassify offenses. So
Mm-hmm.
now instead of it, if it's over $500, it's a felony. They raise it up to $1,000.
Yeah.
And then, like, if somebody called and they got attacked and cut across the face, instead of charging the person with assault with a deadly weapon,
Mm-hmm.
they would just say, person moved to the hospital. So that's how they got those numbers to go down 30%.
Yeah. And then
So
like I said, I don't trust those numbers anyway because it, like you said, it's the same thing in the everyday workforce. I remember, I won't say the company, but I remember working for a company, and when I went from being a regular employee to management, these different things, and you got these different committees within the job place and all these different type of things, but you get a budget, and if you
mm,
don't go with if you don't go over that budget, they got what you call profit sharing, but
yeah.
everybody isn't getting that money. All the employees aren't getting that money. So if
Mm,
you allot me $5,000 to make sure that we got Subway sandwiches here and then all that did, and I never use that money, I don't go over my budget. They don't take that leftover money and disperse it between my employees. I get to keep that.
yeah.
Me myself. So already you got a system. It's almost like I always talk about with football. It's a crazy weird dynamic. It is as contrite as it may seem, I still love the game of football. But it makes no sense for me when you think about when we talk about a team, you got an offense versus a defense. We're on the same team, but we really don't like each other. Then
Mhm.
when you break it down to the next demographic, you're talking about your starting quarterback versus your backup quarterback. Like, of course, I don't want to see my dude get hurt, but I want to play. It's so much competition at each other within this one game, but we all teammates. We all supposed to have one common goal, but we all have hidden agenda, so to speak. It's no
Mhm.
different in everyday life when it comes to the workforce, when it comes to these numbers and these police chiefs, and because we all know once you get to upper management, it's a different set of rules that apply for managers and
Mhm.
regular employees. That's across any walk of life. So you always got to be mindful of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was just, I've been following it, and I was able to find a video from 4 months ago where the mayor was talking about how they had to implement 2,000 hours of mandatory overtime
Mm-hmm.
because they were short 5 to 700 officers. And
Yeah.
then I played the video of after she met with the DOJ, and she's like, where reporters was up there trying to, gaslight or whatever. She's like, we're gonna use these resources to make this city safe. Like, she wasn't against it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem that they had was when Trump's people tried to put in their own uh police commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the issue. And then
Yeah,
when
she's
they
suing over that.
Well, they went ahead and settled it. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why the reason why Trump and them was trying to the attorney general was trying to do that because it was his sister. This black officer been on the force 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
She reported that her captain was changing her reports
Mm-hmm.
to downgrade all the crimes. And she was like, "Well, it's making my record look bad."
Mm-hmm.
Because it's saying that I'm only giving warnings when I gave this cat a ticket. Well, I gave
Mm-hmm.
this joker, he beat his girlfriend down. So she got fired and she's suing and just settled. I think she got like $10 million, but she just settled like last week.
Okay.
So that's the reason why the attorney general was trying to put in their own, because they're like the the police commissioner that can't go on and you not know about it. If it's in
And,
all these precincts, you
mm-hmm.
you have to know about that because you, as a commissioner, you know who all the precincts in DC that are getting bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they said they're going to release all the reports to the attorney general and they'll keep her in place, but they had to release all the police reports. So they're going through now, the DOJ is going through all the reports and they're calibrating all the offenses like felonies that was downgraded. So that's what they're doing now. So they just started that investigation yesterday. And that's the reason why they settled. They're like, we'll let you remain the police chief, but you got to release all of the criminal reports. And they agreed to do that.
Yeah. Because I know it was one situation I was saying, and I was like, I agree with it because it was like, just imagine the military. I've never been in the military, but you have. Like, how when you, I'm quite sure when you signed up, just like the scenario she was using was like, it goes against everything with democracy and bureaucracy, rather. Like the chain of command of things. Like, here it is, you're sworn that this is the chief. In the military, what is the top? The general, right?
Hmm.
So how you gonna have an outside source, whether it be the president or whoever, that goes over who is in charge of the military overall, all four branches, the Secretary of Defense, right?
Yeah, over all
Collectively.
military. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Secretary of Defense. So the Secretary of Defense has a hierarchy, but you're gonna have somebody that tells you what even if it's the president. Well, we're not listening to the Secretary of Defense in this situation. We gonna listen to who I told Elon Musk. like, yo, what are we doing here?
And that's the difference with DC because DC is a federal capital.
Exactly.
And the thing is with the National Guard, people don't understand the National Guard isn't replacing Metro PD. They're supplementing. So now
Mhm.
when officers show up, they have,
Help
3 or
or
4
escort or
National
have assistance.
Guardsmen,
Yeah. Yeah.
to kinda, like, help them, like, if they need help restraining or something, but for all the people that I see now that live in DC, they loving it. They're, like, starting to walk at night, you know, like, all the people I hear with all the static about what's happening don't live in DC. Like, there's some people, like, one girl was talking about, "Yeah, I've been up here for 10 years." I said, "You stay in Virginia." I said, "You
Mhm.
don't stay in DC." I said, "It's complete if you in Arlington, Virginia, that's not DC." I said,
And
"So."
it's like anything else. You're gonna always have mixed reviews because I actually have family that live there in DC, and they are not for it whatsoever. They're like, yo, it's crazy because now you ain't got to worry about just the hoodlum, so to speak. Now you got to worry about police and National Guard beating you behind too. So it's different across the board. You know what I mean? You're gonna always have different perspectives. But these are not people that's associated. These people that live in DC. So I done heard good, I done heard bad. But
Yeah,
we're
but
gonna wait to see
what I
how it
ask
all
you
plays out.
I'll ask you, those people that are telling you that, okay, we got this fear, how many of them getting beat down by the National Guard? How many of them are doing like, yeah, it's one thing like when I'm driving and I see the blue lights behind me, it could be going past, but I get a feel of anxiety, you
Yeah.
know,
No, but I'm
and
saying it's the same. It's the same way. These same people that you in the same regard, devil's advocate again. It's like they ain't getting mugged or stuck up by the other kids either. You know what I mean? But you see it. You still seeing this every day, and it's dramatic as a citizen. If I'm just standing out here smoking a cigarette or smoking me an L or whatever the case may be, in my own leisure, in my little area in front of my building, because it's legal in DC,
well, it's that's the
I don't
thing.
want to see
They
nobody get stuck up. Just like I don't want to see nobody get beat up by the police.
Yeah, that's the thing with DC. Some young brothers have released a video on their TikTok or whatever, and they
Mm-hmm.
had like the DEA and some FBI agents, and DEA was just walking down the street in their neighborhood, and they were sitting on the porch. And I'm gonna send you the video of this too. And they go up to how you fellas doing tonight? They're like, "Whoa, we good. Y'all coming to lock us up? What y'all?" It's like, "No, we just want to let y'all know that Trump gave us the directive. We're here, and we're just here to like we want people to be safe." And he's like, "What you up there smoking?" And then the guy's like, "Man, this is a cigarette. This is just a blunt." And he started hand. He's like, "No, I'm good. It's just, I smell a little weed." He's like, "Well, it's legal here." And the DEA guy was like, "Yeah, it's legal for recreational use within your home. You can't be out on the street like how he's like, it's the same way, like you can't have an open container. You're out
Mm-hmm.
there. Weed, you just can't smoke. Like you just can't walk down by the Capitol and smoke weed. It is recreational, but it has to be within your home.
Technically,
Well, I
but
mean,
tell that
by
to the
by the
residents of
by the
DC.
law.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Tell that to
so
the
they
residents.
didn't hem the dude up. They didn't say, "Well, we need to do a
Mm-hmm.
search." They're like, "Man, we ain't after that. We out here after these guys is selling this fentanyl, selling this heroin, these pimps out here and the distributors." He's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, we ain't distributing." He's like, "Okay, well, y'all have a good night." And he was like, "Man, yeah, I ain't even know that." But that's
Know it.
I I think that's the thing is the interaction too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's gonna get some people more comfortable. In my personal opinion, I don't think we always need to be comfortable. Like
Mm-hmm.
every time I get a driver license, I always get a duplicate because I keep it in the arm of my door of the car. Like we got two vehicles, so I got two other duplicates. So I don't have to reach in those glove box for nothing. I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
reach in my pocket or where I can look. All I have to do is like roll down the window, and once the tent law kicks in December 1st, when an
Mm-hmm.
officer walks up to your car, you got to put down all your windows.
Oh boy, they always coming up with something. I
Well,
swear to
see,
God.
that's what I was telling somebody. He was like, "Man, we can get your tent as dark as you want it." I said, "Yeah, but did you read the rest of that law?" I said, "The problem was is they want to hand people a carrot. Oh, you can tint your windows as dark as you want, but when I come up to your car, all the windows got to come down, or that's an offense. You can't like crack it. You got to the general statute says you got to roll your window all the way down.
Yeah. And
So
everything case by case, like I brought up the wire earlier, and we out of here, but I brought up the wire earlier. It was like, even when I go home now in Newark, I be feeling uncomfortable because it's like, feel like I don't know if this Amsterdam, y'all trying to trap us or what. But you got police officers asking jokers, yeah, you need a light. No, watch sitting there watching you roll up an L and like, you good?
I mean
Everything good?
that's like in Detroit, for you to get pulled over by the police in Detroit, you got to really be messing up. Like you got
Exactly.
to
Exactly.
you have like you don't hear black folks in Detroit talking about, oh, the police, them jokers, you run the dang on red light and they just gonna they can like if you like obvious with it, of course, but like you got to really do something bad for them to pull you over. For like there's dudes now that's in their 30s, never had a police interaction in Detroit. You know, because how it started with Kwame, but of course he left, you know, when he went to prison and stuff. But I just think like I think about when we used to fly up to Jersey when we would go to Rutgers for our sons' games. And you know, Rutgers is red, you know,
Yeah.
with the R. Now we head into the game, so we got on all red, right? So one time we took the train to Trenton from Times Square, and there was some restaurant my wife was hearing about. I was like, "Oh, it's only like a mile and a half up the street. We can walk." So we have on all this red beanies, red caps, red this, and man, we going through the hood like my wife. I look at her,
This ain't Trenton.
yeah,
Okay.
her eyes is like burning a laser through the back of my head. She is so hot. So every time I see some young brothers just sitting in the group, I'll go back to my wife. I'll turn back and say, "Oh, Auntie, right up here." Like I'm acting like we're just getting to our destination, you know. But man, I apologize to her. I said, "Girl, I didn't, you know." I didn't know like that, but I said it looked like we was on that episode of The Wire, the way the buildings was.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't know. Trenton is like it's Jersey, but we don't consider. So where I'm from, we don't like that's a different. We don't even consider that Jersey. We don't even necessarily consider where Rutgers is at Jersey. Like
Yeah,
in terms of us, when we say Jersey, we talking specifically. More than likely, chances 8 times out of 10, we talk about Essex County. That's our
yeah,
county. That's North. That's Irvington. That's East Orange. You know what I mean? Just that little demographic. Once you can start getting to Union County and Piscataway and down there where Rutgers is at,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's Jersey too, but it's literally like North Carolina versus South
It's
Carolina.
different because
Yeah,
when
we don't know
first
anything
time,
about what goes on there.
yeah, the first time I went to Piscataway, we was like, this ain't the Jersey we thought. Like, you know, it feels like completely different. And then when we was at the only reason why we always ended up in Trenton was because RDU does a direct flight every day from Trenton to RDU in the morning
Okay.
and from RDU to Trenton. Like, and it's only $57. So that's why
Frontier,
we
right?
always what you say?
Frontier, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
remember
we
that flight because I used to do catering out there at the RDU.
look and it was that dang yeah. So the thing is, we get there and then rent a car and
Uh-huh.
drive 30 minutes to
Yeah,
Piscataway.
I remember that flight.
Yeah, so I'm like, shoot, $57 because when I used to take some of my son's teammates from high school up there, and I'm like, oh no, we flying. You know, I just need your info so I can book the tickets. And they thought I was this baller because oh, Mr. Blue flew us. Like I said, I ain't gonna tell him it was just $57, but
In all my years of flying and formerly working at the airline, I have never been to that air. I don't even know what that airport looks like. I've
man,
only
it's
flown
so
in and out of Newark.
I'll put it this way: you flying to Trenton, the baggage claim is outside,
It
and
got to
it's
be all the
basic.
Kelly.
It's a trailer, and they open up the side, and as you get off the plane, you walk past that, and they just toss in the bags, and you grab and you go. But it does what it's supposed to do for
Yeah,
$57.
I ain't mad at you, bro.
Yeah, for $57, I said, because them games, like the hotels, like when they play Michigan, the hotel for one night was like 500 for the
Wow.
regular hotel. Like
Yeah.
so we needed the money for the dang on hotel stay. That's why we got with that Marriott, started getting all them points up, because we were like, we gotta do something. These games is crazy.
Now, when you would visit the games there, where would you stay at? Would you stay like out toward like Jersey City, or would you stay down there by the college?
We would stay right there where we walked to the game.
So
We
you're
were
in the New
right
Brunswick
there.
area,
Yeah, we were
New
right there in
Brunswick, South
Brunswick,
Brunswick.
and because it was like we were comfortable, and they made us feel like family. Like they
Mm.
really, like all the other parents and stuff. I assume that's with every school, but we always stayed there. I think it was the players' hotel too,
Okay.
because a couple of times, like when they did the bowl games, we would meet up with them
Mhm.
during the bowl, but we probably could have found cheaper, but I don't like driving around, and I didn't wanna, like, have to worry about, "Okay, now we got paid 40, $50 for parking. We gotta
Mhm.
do," it's like it was just crazy, so I was like, "You know what? We'll be right there, so even after the game the next day, we can, like, hang out a little bit since we're right there." So that's the only reason why we stayed. I think it was a Hyatt, but, yeah, but that place was not, it was not the Jersey that I thought it was.
Oh yeah, I mean that's that, like I said, it's within the state. Let's put it that way. It's within the state, but it's different. Newark is a
Yeah.
whole different beast. Newark is literally Newark is what they crack it up to be,
Yeah, yeah.
for
Well,
lack
I
of better term.
we've done some layovers in Newark, and I told my wife, I
Even with
said,
that though, like when you at the Newark airport, you have no idea. You have no idea what's
well, the people
outside
that work there,
the
you
terminal.
you
Yeah.
you could tell how they talk, the hair, the lashes, the I remember last time we did a layover, this young girl had lashes on the top and on the bottom. I
Mm.
said, "What?" I was nudging my wife. She's like, "Don't even say nothing. Don't even say nothing to me." I
That's
was like,
the younger generations.
yeah, yeah. So, you could tell when you got in there, like just you hear people talking and yelling and fussing, and you can that's what I pictured Jersey, the
Mhm.
accent and stuff. But all the coaches at Rutgers when he was there were Italian. So all the names
Yeah.
ended with an E. So it was like
Mhm.
Paulie, Tommy, Jimmy, you know,
Cavello.
Jimmy. Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Cavello. I used to have an Italian teacher back in Westside. He used to actually coach with one of the former coaches for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
We used to always watch different films and stuff like that. But forget about it. Forget about it. The Italians, the Jersey Italians are
Yeah.
different. What are you freaking kidding me? What are you freaking kidding me? That's like
That's how
like
that's
a
how they
period word.
were.
All right, man. But hey, thanks, man, for tuning in tonight, man. I appreciate you jumping on as usual, bro.
No,
Um,
same, same.
yeah, man. I hope everybody have a good week, man. I hope everybody enjoy the rest of their night. We be back next Tuesday. I got a young fella that's coming on. We gonna do so he has a walk that's coming up here in the North Carolina area, and I think they're trying to branch out to doing it in other states too, where men come together. You come and we just supporting one another. It's like a
Oh,
men's fellowship type thing, and we'll get into that next week. My boy Al Howard. But I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Um, let's be real, like I said, let's be real supportive of these children that's going back to school. Not only the children, but also the staff and the workers. Let's help support these teachers as much as possible. The cafeterias work. I want to see us all overall, man, get back to community. I kind of miss those days where, the people always joke about it. Our age always joke about it. Nah, you ain't want to do such and such because you knew Miss Gladys was gonna tell your mother, so you gonna get you gonna get in trouble with Miss Gladys. Then you had to worry about when your mom came home, when your daddy came home. Like
Yeah.
it's too many of us nowadays that's minding our business and just worried about our communities are like they are. We got to get back to that community where get reverence and respect for your elders, and we got to put ourselves in a position too. If you don't give me no respect, no reason to respect you, why should I respect you? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
these younger kids have a different mindset. You know what I mean? So let's get back to community, being there for one another, man, helping support one another, and all that we do, man. But I'm gonna grab me something to eat, man. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, Sam. And I look forward to seeing everybody again next Tuesday night. Um, that being said, all right, everybody be easy, be blessed. And DeAndre and Lisha, as usual, is signing off. Know that Daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. So next week, peace.